meaning that we have a use case which is related, not depending on what we're doing with evaluation DAO and governance module, but it's similar, it's in parallel. So yes, we have brains working on writing decentralized tools for governance, reviewing, project management, roadmap management. So yeah, similar topics. So I will ask people working on this from the organization to join the next meeting, so they can give updates on what they are working on the decentralized DAO part. Another update, I just had my first interviews with the tokenomics, for a tokenomics position to work with us on GNO proof of contributions, maybe focusing sometimes on dedicated governance modules. And the good news is that initially we were looking for a tokenomics profile to review what we are doing, but I'm confident we will be able to count the tokenomics profile as an architect, co-building stuff with us, writing some code to demonstrate, strengths and weaknesses. So yeah, I don't have specific updates on the two tokenomics related parts from GNOVM, so evaluation DAO and governance module. But I can say that I have people to invite in the future meetings that can give their opinion, visibility, and things that are around, and helping the topics to go forward. But what I would love is to have feedback now from. I think that OnBlock is working on evaluation DAO and governance module. We have Giuseppe also. I don't know if they are there today. But if we can have updates from the community, it would be nice. But yeah, in the upcoming meetings, consider that we'll have more brains and be able to have maybe deeper discussions on those topics. And yeah, if no one has any info on governance module or evaluation DAO, feel free to ask anything around GNOVM. I'm speaking about these two topics, but GNOVM is larger than this. If you have just a question on the technical part or whatever, feel free to present you, ask your questions, give your feedback, etc. Thanks.
Welcome near 1218. I believe Near had made some contributions to the repo, right?
Yeah, hi, hello. This is Near.
Hey, welcome. I think this is your first time in the office hours calls, right?
No, I think it's like the second or the third time, if I'm not mistaken.
Perfect. Do you want to, do you have any questions for Manfred, or would you like to share some of your contributions?
I don't have any. No, I don't have any questions. So.
Manfred was just giving us some updates about progress that we're making for the core team. Sounds like we're hiring some people. We're focusing on the decentralized DAO is going to be a topic for the upcoming ones. Manfred, maybe we can talk about what kind of things we can do in the upcoming week to prepare for the next call.
Yeah, we just need 2 or 3 minutes because I will have an elevator and lose my connection.
Oh, okay, no worries. All right, so let's take a quick little break then.
Yeah, maybe. So you always say you have a question for Manfred, but I see that Miloš is there, Miloš from the core team. So feel free in general to ask questions to me or to the core team. And yeah, I can give an update on what's coming on for the next weeks, and also give some overview of what will be the topics from from phase 2 that can be started during phase 1. So yeah, coming back in 3 minutes.
Excellent. Yeah, I think we're going to get a lot more activity in phase 2 because it's pretty tall order, the competition right now. Kind of a hard ask for people to contribute in a way. It's very ambiguous and it's almost like philosophical. Like, how do we set up a governance module? How should that look? What should the evaluation DAO look like? These are much bigger questions than writing some smart contracts. So I'm pretty excited for phase 2. I think once we move that in that direction, it's gonna change dramatically the way that people are engaging with the competition. Go ahead and take that quick break. I'm gonna be right back too.
Hey, so good for me. I think I heard you speaking about phase 2, which will be more active. Right now, we have minimal activity in the last weeks, but not from people trying to fit the suggested path of Game of Thrones phase 1, but more from people helping to improve the engine in general. So that's an unofficial path, which is actually very useful during phase 1. For to unlock the next steps, my suggestion is to think about the part we discussed we discussed about governance module because we have a good comparison with existing systems that we want to improve. We discussed about evaluation DAO because we need this. It's not possible to go forward to phase 2 and to scale the project if only GitHub moderators can approve everything, etc. We need something more transparent, open, scalable. So we need evaluation DAO. What is, in my opinion, something we didn't discuss that much, but very important and potentially something to do before evaluation DAO and governance module, maybe on-chain project management. And this part is probably a way easier for anyone because evaluation DAO has a lot of constraints. We are not the first one to try doing something great. Many people tried and it's very difficult. Evaluation DAO is completely new and has tokenomics issues. It has many concerns in general. It's a really hard topic that requires a 360 vision of everything, but something which is probably very related and could be a foundation is the project management in its simple state, like having projects, tasks, maybe epics or milestones, so group of tasks, being able to assign topics, to assign tasks, being able to split something or to maybe add subtasks, being able to update the progress. And this is something we will need anyway. And if we do it early, before evaluation DAO, maybe evaluation DAO can rely on this system. So this part of making on-chain project management with simple contract, we can have a contract with, I don't know, a task which is just an interface with a title, a body, a list of assignee, etc. So something, it's not about tokenomics, it's about writing Trello in smart contracts. Trello, Jira, whatever, something simple. And this part could be used by the evaluation DAO. So the evaluation DAO just focus on the tokenomics, the game theory, how to slash someone, how to propose something. So yeah, basically the uniqueness points of evaluation DAO, while the project management, the way to open a proposal or a discussion, the way to participate, to claim assignment, to ask for a review, or to update the state of a task, this thing could be made before with less constraint, with less needs of having a 360 overview. So for me, except if someone wants to dig one of the already open topics, evaluation DAO or governance module, I suggest working on a third topic, which could be Game of Thrones Phase 2, but could also be the first part of Game of Thrones Phase 1. It could be the preliminary part of evaluation DAO, and maybe of governance module, because governance can rely on simple proposals, or maybe they can rely on something richer with dependencies and subtasks and maybe sub-approvals. So yeah, a suggestion I can have for people that are maybe afraid of the complexity of the two other big tasks is just to write a Trello board, Jira board, Kanban board actually, on contracts, without the pressure of access control or just how to have tasks belonging to a project, which can eventually have a parent project and maybe have parent task or subtask or dependency task. This is my suggestion on this point, and then count on me to bring more people during the next ones, during the next meetings, and those people will be able to, some of them are tech, but they will bring fresh news for the other part, for the DAO architecture, tokenomics architecture, rules definitions. So yeah, more for humans than for machines. I can try opening an issue if you want about what I suggested about project management, because in my opinion, it's an optional way to start. It's an alternative path to develop evaluation DAO with a simpler intermediary step.
Yes.
Okay, so that's something that anyone can contribute to. You're suggesting they use, Kanban or Trello, and they sort of set up a workflow for how the smart contracts are organized.
Yeah, for me, it's a simpler, it's an easier topic to get started, and it could be used directly by evaluation DAO. That's not the only option, but it's an option to make evaluation DAO a smaller component, because it depends on something very simple, stupid, something not relying on a DAO or whatever, just the project management system. if we have an unchained project management system, we can use it for evaluation DAO. We can use it for governance modules to manage proposals. We can use it for maybe later for the DAO, sub-DAO component, because it's without the DAO itself, without the membership management, it's like a DAO, it's like a hierarchical way of representing projects and tasks, allowing you to keep track of tasks, subtasks, epics, following up the completion, the unlocking of other tasks, etc. So yeah, pure project management without concern on memberships, humans, DAO, governance, bots. Just the way to store the state of a project. So yeah, I suggest I can open an issue or maybe even a PR with a simple interface, and then let people try to implement it. But that's an indirect way to work on phase one with less need of knowing everything, including tokenomics, security. So yeah, complex topics. I'll try to open a small PR now with a simple interface.
So just to clarify, is that something that we're initiating and then people can sign on to, or is everyone free to make their own Trello board and suggest it?
Anyone is free to compete with my interface. Anyone is free to just implement my interface. Anyone is free to just comment on it. By opening a PR with an interface, I just make the equivalent of opening an issue, a discussion, except that we have some code to discuss against. So it will be very simple. It will be 2 or 3 interfaces, probably one for task, one for project, and one for entity, which can be user or an organization. And the important fields I imagine in a project management tool. And I will make sure to link this interface proposal with evaluation DAO and governance module, so people understand that it can take part of phase one with just a focus on technical stuff. So it's not clear right now, but it will be a way more thanks to the PR. What do you think, guys, on this about on-chain project management? Does anyone has experience with great tool in any ecosystem?
Yeah.
Something to say?
I didn't notice my microphone was off. Yeah, I actually had great experience with Linear. It's, I think, a fairly new tool. It's been around for a few years. I had experience with UTrack as well, which I wouldn't recommend to anybody. But yeah, Linear.
I don't know this one.
Yeah.
What is UTrack?
So UTrack is like the official project tracking tool for JetBrains. It's like what their core development team uses. But I wouldn't recommend it to anybody who wants like a gray UI or UX, just because it's lacking like basic user functions. For example, like you add an issue to a sprint, you want to remove the issue from the sprint. You would think like there's like a button that you can press that says, okay, delete this issue from the sprint, but you actually have to type out like literally like an SQL command within a prompt to remove it. So yeah, like stuff like that. It's very clunky. But yeah. Linear, for me, Linear is like the pinnacle of project management.
Yeah, what was your experience with that? I imagine we want something that might connect to GitHub.
Oh, it does. It does. So you can. It has actually seamless GitHub integration. You can connect it up to your GitHub. It can leave comments on your PRs. It can leave comments on your. It can open up issues directly for you. if you open up PRs, you can link back to like linear issues. So every issue they have a linear can have like an identifier. So it's like, for example, for GNOME, it would be like GNOME5, right? And if you opened up a PR that tackles the tasks on linear, you can say resolves GNOME5. And if you have the GitHub integration, it's going to show up on linear as a linked PR. And you can track it through linear to see whether or not it went through. But I'm not sure it's public. It's only for like private teams. So we couldn't, like open it up to the public to see what we're working on. But as like a private team management tool, it's actually really cool. As also like a ton of integrations as well. If you don't use GitHub, you can use GitLab or anything else too.
Yeah, actually, that I was looking at it. I shared it here in the chat. It looks like it could be pretty effective. I'm just curious if we're trying to have anyone, contribute to that. How would we do that? Curious. You said it's private only, right?
Yeah. So you need to create like specific teams and create specific slot. You basically pay for slots for your team, and then you add people, and then those people can interact with any kind of group within the linear workspace. But there it doesn't have like support where you can share a link and somebody from the internet can come in without like registering and having a slot. It needs to be like it's a per member paid tier system.
I just opened the first issue, 728, and I will open a PR demonstrating a suggested interface. Feel free to link to linear and you track in the comment, Milosh.
Okay, yeah, sure. You also have like an alternative that's already on GitHub. It's called GitHub Projects. It's also like a Trello
I lost
board.
you.
Oh, sorry. I was saying you also have one alternative that's on GitHub right now. It's called GitHub Projects.
Can someone? Yeah. I lost you. Milosh. Can you repeat, please?
Oh, mic test 1 2 1 2.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay. Yeah. I was saying there's like an open source, also like an open source alternative on GitHub. It's called GitHub Projects, and it's basically like a Trello board for issue tracking and PR tracking. I mean, obviously, like seamlessly integrates with GitHub.
Feel free to link all those resources right now in the first comment, and we can discuss whatever after.
Okay.
What I would love actually is to have an on-chain system, but to create a companion utility that could, I don't know, synchronize the on-chain project management with GitHub. So yeah, making it from day one something that we want to automate with synchronization. So we have the on-chain for transparency, to allow other contracts to compute the state, for instance, to unlock something at a specific moment, etc. But on the other hand, if we can have from the beginning the integration in the expected features, it's even better. We are not trying to replace linear and such tool because we don't like them. We just want and we need on-chain project management and being able from another contract to verify the completion of a project. So let's make let's anticipate. Let's bootstrap the interoperability with other projects from day one. Hey, I can see. I don't know how to pronounce your name, like ILD, but we have someone here that I interviewed last week. Happy to see you there. I don't know if you can speak, but I will be happy to that you explain what you are doing on GNOLair, because it can be interesting for the other ones to listen to you. And so
Yeah.
switching back to the previous project, Miloš, if you can just update with whatever you want. I will try thinking about how we can mix this with a Node.js client, maybe as a use case of things we would like to automate with a GitHub bot. It could be great to have on-chain governance linked with GitHub in both directions, and also have a good example of JS client. So anyone can start integrating, making interoperability not Web3 to Web3, but Web3 to Web2.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like Harium recommended Asana.
Feel free to comment, Johnny. I personally come from Asana. I switched back to a simple to-do list, but I used to be a huge Asana fan too.
Yeah, Asana to me is very much like Notion. I think both of them can get a little cluttered, and I don't know anything about linking it to GitHub. So I just put issue 728 into the in call chat if anyone wants to take a look at that. Oh, looks like we have a new member, Cyprian. Bit validator, welcome. Yeah, actually, I wanted to hear about Nlock, Ald. Nlock, are you here? I guess just tuning in, huh? Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot going on, Manfred, huh? We're working for on-chain project management. We're moving the decentralized DAO forward, recruiting new people. Sounds like there's a lot of people contributing to the actual engine. That's kind of cool. What kind of stuff are they doing?
Yeah, the people actually working on the engine is probably more difficult at some point, but it's more natural for people because when someone start using GNOVM, they will notice things that are not ready yet, and naturally they will want to improve the engine. So it's cool actually, and to be honest, that's my priority. That's my comfort zone in terms of things to do. On the other hand, the Game of Thrones is not only something to have the contributions, but also a way to start building a community of contributors. So it takes more time, especially with these very hard first challenges. But that's important to not do all the stuff by yourself, by the core team. So we start having more and more core contributors that are not in the core team officially, just great contributors that contribute often with a huge understanding on the project. But it takes more time. On my side, I'm more following what people will do. Probably at some point, we will need to make more exercise like the one I just made by suggesting a split, a way to achieve the great task with smaller iterations. So this one about project management for me is a good example of splitting the task. Other split could make sense. People are free to propose other splits. And if needed, this part is done, but the rest of the task is still too complex, we can probably help by splitting more. But it's important for me that we continue taking more time, but onboard more core contributors. It takes more time. It can feel frustrating for some people. I actually think that we have more and more good contributions. Those topics are not stuck. So I suggest just waiting and encouraging people to contribute, helping them maybe by splitting but I'm not in the urge to change something on this point. The plan is still there. We still need these two important modules. It's still important that they are done by Game of Realms. Because yes, that's what, not having those modules could make the project weak or launching lately. But making it by ourselves, for me, is a failure. We clearly need to show that we have strong people in the team, in the core team, but we are not limited by the employees and official staff members. For me, I take it as a personal challenge. It's a global challenge, but people can just focus on making great contributions and being good colleagues and good builders, good architects. On my side, I take it personally to make a system where at the end it's not possible that people could say the team does not have the skill, or the team can't handle this, or the team. I want to break this concept of the team completely by just showing that we have a core team, and I expect the core team to be able to show their skills naturally by making contributions. But I want to break this concept of the team to the community, the DAO. They can do whatever they have many resources, financial one, technical one, experience one. If we are a big community with diverse people, and if we are open to the world with interoperability in mind, and we have our current resources, but we can also extend it with launch pads and pools, community pools, investment pools, I don't know. Then actually the team does not exist anymore, and the project has nearly no limit. So I take a personal focus on making it slower, but not trying to get more contributors and trying to do everything by yourself. It's really important for the rest of the project to take more time now, but to create a strong core team. If at the end of phase 1 we have only 10 more people, but those 10 people are very expert on everything, for me it's a success. Because phase 2 will probably receive many people, hundreds, maybe thousands at some point. So right now the focus is more on quality people, and it takes more time, even if we don't have a huge quantity of contributions. Actually, we have only 2 big tasks for phase 1, sorry. So I don't take it as a problem that we don't have, that the 2 tasks are not yet done. I'm more monitoring the quality of questions, the quality of suggestions and proposals, contributions, and the discussion we have here or during the other meetings with contributors. So that's just my 2 cents on this point. If we add a success dashboard, I won't put finishing the task as a higher rank than just having a better contributor team. Probably some people will want we look at this point because they are blocker for the roadmaps. That's clearly very important to manage them. But I put more energy on increasing the team size, the virtual team size, than trying to fix, especially these two big topics.
Yeah, I mean, it's logical building the foundation of this thing.
If we succeed, if we make it, if we have a blockchain for developers managed by a huge DAO of contributors, where all of them made proof of their understanding, investment, technical knowledge, alignment, and they all come from their own world with the project can all be, they could even all be capitalist and egoist as soon as we have a strong DAO, allowing anyone to build their own project on GNU, but in a way that where when you build something on GNU, it's by default shared and available for everyone. I think we can just make an unstoppable organization with a virtually infinite resource in terms of brains, power, finance, ideas, relationship, and everything. So yeah, for me, it's really important to put a lot of energy on this right now.
I was just checking out the GitHub projects. Milos, do you have experience with that?
No real production use. I've only sort of played around with my own projects, but nothing on a scale that we have currently on GNU.
It's nice that it's like straight on GitHub. Like that seems like the Manfred, do you think the priority should be something that's integrated into GitHub that will, make it easy to look at all the issues?
So these are two different topics. We have one which is to make on-chain governance, and there is no need to link it with GitHub or make it great in terms of UI, but just to provide an intermediary step to make evaluation DAO and governance module easier to tackle. And the other one is about, in general, should we improve the project management and follow-up and discoverability? And the answer is yes, for sure. We have multiple initiatives going in that direction. One of them is one I manage, which is to give better overview of the roadmap. So I just open sourced a repository this weekend, github.com/gnolong/roadmap. This is WIP. I should try to limit who can post issues. I don't know if I can do it. If someone knows how I can limit who can create issues, because this is not a repo made for bug tracking. It's a way to represent the roadmap with issues, and then use tools to create visual representation of the dependencies and the steps. So this is one way to discover the project with not only the task, but what's the ground focus? What should people work on in priority? Or what should people wait for before starting to work on something depending on something else? So I'm working on this part. Morgan in the core team worked on improving the management of PRs. So he made a GitHub project focused not on the issues, but on the PRs with a custom Kanban designed for peer review. So for instance, we have one state for the first reviewer, another for the second reviewer, etc. So it's not something something that does not make sense for issue tracking, but that makes sense for peer review. So we have these two initiatives, and I don't know how we can manage the rest. So the rest means the bug tracking. I suggest we try to use existing tools. GitHub project has this huge benefit of being linked with GitHub by default. We can try to create multiple views. So yeah, I know two of them, the one for PRs and the one for roadmap. So definitely room for many other ones. Ideally, we should have a great view for each main questions. If we can have less tools that reply to multiple questions, it's maybe better. But right now, we should make sure that we can answer to all the main questions. So if there is a question, I don't know, what are the current blockers? What are the topics where no one is working on actively? Specific question like this, we can think about creating either automated views or maybe manual reports. I don't know. But yeah, it's just so you know, it's two different topics. One is about creating interfaces and implementation to allow having on-chain project management, something simple. Yet we think about how we can link it, synchronize it with GitHub at some point. And the other one is, in general, how can we improve the discovery and management of the repo? We have many issues and pull requests and more repositories over time. We will clearly need to have dashboards to follow what's happening and prioritize and make sure that nothing is stuck, nothing is waiting for an answer for weeks. So this is I don't think there is a dedicated issue for this, but it's an always open topic. We can come in 2 years with a great solution on making this part better. We'll always be happy to try improving the management of issues, pull requests, active initiatives, etc. Maybe there can be a link between the on-chain project management and GitHub for this, because on-chain will probably expect people to raise their hands and say, hey, I would like to work on this. I would like to commit working on this, maybe to take some kind of reservation, or at least make an on-chain, show their interest on-chain. So if we do this, maybe we can have an additional information just on-chain about not what is the current PR, what is the current, I don't know, because for many people, they could work on things for 2 weeks in the dark and just after start asking for reviews. So maybe making a mix of what we have on-chain later and what we have on GitHub can help having a better overview and helping people find where they should work next, what they should review, or how to discover a topic, a user, a contributor, whatever. If you have experience on managing huge projects at scale, probably Antonio, I think he's still there. Yeah, Antonio just joined us, and he used to work on Kubo, and Kubo has, I don't know how many issues and PR and relationship with other IPFS and LP2P projects. So similar concerns in terms of volumes, of feedback, activity, etc. And they also have the core team and external contributors. Probably has good feedback.
Yeah, we had like more than 1,000 different issues open. So it was a mess because we had a lot of people using IPFS and a lot of different use cases. So we had like a lot of open issues from 6 years ago and things like that. And we were using GitHub projects, and I mean, was good enough even with that amount of issues.
Is everything public, or do you have things that are only available for some people?
I think that 90% was public, and maybe we had some proof of concepts or new projects or work in progress ideas that were private, but almost everything was public. Or is public, I would say.
So it would be nice if you could comment on on the last issue I created, with just some reference on how you used to manage it from a GitHub point of view, and not only about how to manage a project, but how to be integrated in a bigger ecosystem, how to mix having stuff coming from the core team and stuff coming from external people that we can't expect to attend all of the meetings and follow always the same template, etc. I think you have a great experience here.
Yeah, I have been using GitHub projects in 2 of my previous companies. One was like recently on Protocol Labs and also at Sourced. We were using GitHub projects too, with less repositories, I would say, because the Protocol Labs amount of different repositories that they have is like maybe 250 repositories to manage, so it's a lot. It's super difficult to handle, and we have like a lot of different dependencies between these projects. So if you want to update or fix some problem with some interface, you need to update like 3 or 4 different other repositories, and yeah, the amount of code that is there is huge. Yeah, I will add some comments about this on the issue that you created like 10 minutes ago, right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just right now we are not looking for the best solution, but sharing some opinions.
Okay.
And yeah, finding external tools, external Web2 tools is great. Speaking especially about GitHub is very great too. And if someone has experience with Web3 and chain project management, it's also interesting. For instance, yeah, I need to remember the name. What's the name? It was great. It was a Kanban. It was an unchained Kanban.
Kanban, yeah, Kanban, yeah. Yeah, I have been using Kanban at Source, and in Protocol Labs you can choose a different view. So we have like a list organized by different topics. So we have like maybe a topic that was a routing system. So we have like several issues on the routing system topic. But we didn't have this ability to go and move the issues from to be done, doing, and done. It was just a list inside that topic. Yeah, it was a different approach and a different way to view issues. I can describe all of this on the issue if you want also.
Okay. And I'm checking because I was also thinking about something else. Oh, I know it was on a Discord channel as a bot, and the name is dwork.xyz. This tool was great. I don't know how much it was fully Unchained or Web 2.5 with 50-50 Unchained, 50-50 off-chain. But it was a great inspiration too.
Do you mind to send the link to the chat?
Yeah. dwork.xyz. I will add the entry on the issue too. I'm not sure it worked, but I just updated the GNOME roadmap repository settings to moderation options, limit to repository collaborators for 6 months. So for 6 months, only collaborators can create issues, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so I'll finish my PR with suggested interface. To give you visibility on this, I recycle a previous side project. So DebVis is a project I used to try to use GitHub issues as a way to generate roadmaps. And my goal was to import things from GitHub, but also from Trello, Jira, GitLab, and other drivers. And my first mission was to unify the content types. And what I found is that you actually need only 3 things in any project management tools, which can be complex as Jira or simple. You need tasks, which can be closed. You need owners, which can't be closed. An owner can be the repository or the user or the organization. So owner can have an owner. Owner always makes sense even after a lot of time, while a task is something that needs to be completed. And a task can be an issue, a milestone, an epic, whatever. And then you have topics, which are in end-to-end relationship with everything. So like tags and ways to add attributes. So with these only 3 virtual structures, the task, the owner, and the topic, you can manage a Trello, a Jira, a GitLab, a GitHub. In terms of storage, it's maybe not optimized, but it allows you to have flexibility because your task can have subtasks. So the main task can be a milestone, an epic, containing tasks which can have subtasks, etc. The owner can be a repository that belongs to an organization or to a teams, which itself belongs to an organization, like on GitLab. So yeah, that's what I will open as a companion PR for the last issue. Feel free to just let comment on interesting stuff or try implementing my suggestions or try making different suggestions on how we can make an interface for this. But yeah, I'm looking to if we can bootstrap this project management, on-chain project management, because it's probably something more people can work on, especially the newcomers, especially the people coming from the Web 2. So if it's a success in terms of adoption with one or multiple people working on it, I will make my best to try extracting similar Web 2 compatible tasks from big epics, so we can keep the advanced Web 3 challenges as small as possible.
Well, we're at the hour if you want to call it, Manfred. If anyone else has anything else to add.
Okay, still listening. If someone is blocked on something, I think I have 10 more minutes to make my proposal. So still there for 10 minutes if you need.
Hey, Manfred, it's Andrew.
Hey.
Hey, good to talk to you again. I just have two quick questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one is on the documentation for like no key and stuff like that. Remember a couple months back, the parameters were changed to a different order and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So all the documentation's still out. I can't deploy my packages because it's saying that package path wasn't given. And I've been going through the board and the YouTube videos and the documentation, and I can't figure out why that's not working.
Okay. Can you open an issue? Because what we need now is a list of the still deprecated documentations. For instance, 1 week ago, the generated documentation was wrong. It should not be fixed. So yeah,
Okay.
well, right now we will more look for what is still outdated. We'll try to contact the author when it's something, the authors when we can still make changes.
Okay, I'll
yeah.
go back and double check it.
Yeah.
It was like last
If you open
Thursday from that time I looked at the docs.
Yeah, it's better to
So
open
I
an
can
issue.
dig
We can unlock you, and we can also enumerate the outdated documentation. Thanks to the issue.
All right. Yeah, I'll double check it, and if it's still there, then I'll go ahead and open up an issue on it. And then the last one is the difference between no and no lang, right? So what's the exact limit on what's the interpreter that's running on the chain for handling Go? In other words, can I include the native HTTP package and it'll work, or do I need to kind of translate that anything over into no from Golang? I'm trying to figure out what I can get running on the chain.
Yeah, there are basically 3 ways to have code. You can have stdlibs. So it's currently located in GNOVM/stdlibs. It's a mix of Go functions that are injected in the interpreter. So those functions can have access to the blockchain data. So we try to limit this. We have 2 kinds of stdlibs. We have the one which is uncommon, specific to the chain with great privileges, and we have the official stdlibs. When you import strings, strconv, stuff like that, it's a port of the classical stdlib from Go to GNU. So we have some. We don't have the whole port. You can help us having more. We always need to take care because HTTP, as an example, is something we can't have because of the lack of determinism. Maybe we'll have at some point some dedicated oracles to allow a contract to request an URL that will be fetched by a relayer, a special node, and then on the next run you can access the result of the request. But we can't expect the validators to all simultaneously query an URL and expect the URL to be determinist. So
Okay.
yes, we have
So that
stdlibs.
actually kind of kills my AI project
just
because
just finishing on this. We have stdlib. We can continue extending it, but sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
So yeah, with stdlib we can complete it, but it's not just put whatever you want. It's put whatever makes sense because it's determinist. And we recently have another example because on Golang stdlib you have MD5 and SHA-1, and we can also blacklist some weak protocols to prevent having too many options. And then you have 2 other options to have code. One of them is to try porting user space libraries. So for instance, you wrote a Go library in pure Go, you can port it in GNU and publish it as a contract. For instance, it could make sense to port Testify because I love this library. It should be awesome to have a full GNU-based Testify equivalent. And then the last option is just to write code, a unique code that you created just for the occasion on a greenfield project. You start your GNU file and you create something that could make sense I usually try to do this because I love rethinking if it still makes sense to make something. So sometimes I come from, okay, I love, I don't know, the Cobra library, whatever library on Pure Go. Can we port it? And in other occasions, I prefer to say, okay, how can we log something from the contract? The log function is just for the one building the validator, but maybe we can have, I don't know, a memory, a ring buffer with last n lines, and it can become something that we query from the render function. So yeah, this is an example. Logging is a simple need that everyone needs at some point. It will be very different on a GNU contract just because the user that will want to look at the log is actually not behind the validator logs. So yeah, multiple options. If something is in the Golang stdlibs and missing from GNU, we should consider adding it.
Okay, yeah, that's, I guess, the biggest thing that's kind of killing me now is accessing something that's non-Go, right? So if I, and, hey, you can go Python or any other language to Go, but then Go also, believe it or not, no matter how good the language is, doesn't have a lot of libraries that say that Python has. So you have to end up, I don't know, maybe it's something that we ought to add on to the to-do list to figure out how we can safely and securely be able to do an API, an external API request. Figure out what the dangers are, what could be exposed, what's not, whether it's just, logged, whatever. That's something that's going to, it's going to add a lot of power to the chain and to the smart contracts to be able to do it. But obviously that's not something that needs to be taken care of now. So I'll just back burner that. Okay, so I will double check the documentation and at least start getting, and that's what I've been doing. I've been working a bunch of core modules that I'm trying to get deployed, and I need to get those running on my test chain before I can run, obviously, my realms and stuff. So I've been kind of blocked there.
I suggest you to start building with just GNU CLI without the full chain and just put the chain at the end, except for most cases, it should work exactly as it will do on chain.
Okay.
So yeah, feel free to start to. Yeah, sorry.
No. Yeah, you very well might have already fixed it if you just did something last week, because as of Thursday night, I just started messing with you. So I've been at Python.
It's my connection.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll double check it. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, and just feel free if you have something that works on CLI with just GNO, the CLI, and that won't work on your local net, on the test net, on the staging net. It's really cool to just open an issue pointing to your actual code. It becomes a good use case of misalignment between CLI and production. So it's better to work on just on CLI. It's more comfortable for you. And if it reveals problems when you upload something, it becomes a good use case and deserves a dedicated issue so we can discuss and fix the issue for everyone. So yeah, feel free to just work on CLI. It's better for you. It's better for us.
Okay. Yeah, I've been lazy. I've been trying to stay in VS Code, and even that. What's that extension for VS Code? Is it Harry? Where that's supposed to bring in and make the .gno files, compatible and highlighting and formatting, but none of the test scripts work in there. So all my core stuff that I write, I actually leave the extension as Go, and then when I'm ready to commit, I do my test cases under Go, and then I change the file extension when I go to push it to the repository. So I don't know if there's an easier way of doing it. I'd like the .gno files to pretty much be the same as working with Go. It'd make it a lot easier in there, but I got to work around for it.
Yes.
So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Those are great questions, conversations. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to bring up? If not, I think we're a little over. We can probably conclude.
Yep. In a few seconds, I should open the PR. So feel free to just comment on the PR if you have an opinion. But yeah, that's not an urgent topic. It's a different way to tackle phase one. So yeah, it would be greatly appreciated if you have an opinion or want to start working on it. And in that the case, please show your interest so we can also maybe unlock you. But that's not the only option. If you are still working, because I know that at least 2 people are working on the art path, the one consisting of making everything at once, that's still a good option. Specifically for evaluation DAO and governance module, sorry.
Let's close it up. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your time, Manfred. Thank you for everyone with their questions, suggestions.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See you
Bye.
in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
See you
Ciao.
next week, guys.